ad nauseum because the people remember and they can go online for the other programs. But we need to refresh them. We need to tell them that what happened in Tanzania was not diplomacy. It was a diplomatic failure in my assessment.
Yeah, Hashi, and you see, that also just comes on the heels of the day when Kenyans were asking about fuel prices in the country. And the president went up and said that, fuel prices in Kenya is high because we are a developed country. The others are least developed, and that did not sit well with many out there. You also, now as you speak, Kenya is to host that meeting with France.
Yeah.
And many African leaders have called out the president, including Ramaphosa, because you look at what the Sahel is doing in injecting France, and Kenya has actually been called as a traitor based off what the rest of the continent is saying about the French government. What would be your position on that?
Well, I think that I've always believed that we must have a common front when it comes to diplomacy in the region, and there are about 5 regions in Africa. Yeah. Well, you know that the French have a concept called mission civilisatrice. You know about that? Mm-hmm. So the French have, there's no better colonial culture that's better than the other. Mm-hmm. Samora Machel used to say that English colonialism is not better than French colonialism. The English-speaking Africa believes that they are a bit better than the French and the Portuguese.
That their colonialism was just a little bit more refined than that.
Yeah, that's what they think. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. Probably the British system under Lord Lugard in Nigeria was much more brutal than the one in the Sahel, because in Nigeria it was a concentrated population. There's no people in the Sahel. There's a few million. So the French couldn't even find the people. They walk around and there's nobody. But in Nigeria, you hit the markets and there's 10 million people down the road there. So English colonialism was worse. Now, to get to this point, I think that the French have no business in this continent. I really think so. And the reason why the West Africans have kicked them out is because the French economy and the French Republic survives on the resources of West Africa.
Yes.
And it's not my words. Jacques Chirac, who's a former president, said that verbatim. He said, if we don't get the resources from West Africa, France will be a third world country. He's exaggerating, of course. France and Germany have a relationship, but he was saying really what was really the truth.
Yeah.
So I think that President Ruto thinks that the two-step colonial dance for the Western powers will really help him. And in the meantime, he keeps pleading with them to change the financial infrastructure of the IMF and the World Bank. Why would they change it? You see, most of the time I start asking myself questions, not from the beginning, but from the end. Then you follow back the trail, and your question will make much more sense, or you'll change the concept. So he's saying he understands that we take 100 shillings from the public. Our debt is 150 shillings. We pay the 100 shillings. Then we have to look for another 50 shillings to pay. This is the billions, Then what happens is that we go into something called a deficit. The deficit is the difference between, what you're taking and then there's the debt. There's another thing, So then we can't do anything. You can't build roads. You can't build things like this, and then you're in a debt trap.
Yeah.
Now the French are masters of this. So Mr. Ruto is trying to find solutions in the back pocket so that if the ones from America and Europe fails, he can access the French. So he's really just playing a balancing game in this country because he really doesn't know what to do. So I'm going to tell him what to do.
Okay.
It's important. You just can't come here and criticize people all the time.
Yeah.
What solutions do you have?
Exactly.
So I have a solution to this whole problem.
Okay.
I think that he should, first of all, kick out the French and not allow them to come here because the West African experience shows what the French people or the French Republic want to do. The second thing is he should not tax this nation because nothing has ever been built on taxation. That's number one. Number three is we do not have any other resources right now. We have our minerals. Now, Somalia the other day gave Turkey 95% of its oil for 5%. That's neo-colonialism.
Yes, it is.
Isn't it?
Yes, it is.
What we need to do is to think about how we can process our minerals, our oils, and our natural resources in a way that will give the balance of accounts in our favor. And the most important resource we have in this country is its people. If its people had good leadership, they will go out of their way to make sure that the country works. I'll give you an example. Ethiopia built a dam. And it went into the markets, and the market said, we're not going to give you any loans.
Yes.
So the leader of Ethiopia, and this is part of the culture of Ethiopia because they're very resilient, self-sufficient, and very proud people. They really believe in their country. So they said, we're going to build that dam, and everybody gave 1 shilling, 2 shillings. And they built it.
Yes, they did.
So it's possible for us to build things in our country with the resources of the people.
Yeah.
So what do we need to do? We need to plead to the sentiment of the people, not tax them.
Yeah.
We need to plead to something called sentiment, which is currency. And good leadership pleads to the sentiment of it. For an example, President Kibaki built the Thika Highway, built all those inroads, and his debt was maybe 5% of what Uhuru and Ruto were taking. How did he do it? And why did these two young people from Jubilee, Uhuru and Ruto are joined at the hip?
Yeah.
You cannot separate Ruto from Uhuru.
Oh, okay.
No, you cannot.
In terms of what?
Because it's Uhuru who brought Ruto to us.
Right. Okay.
And then he complained about him at the end. Was he giving us bad judgment when he chose him? No, he was in The Hague. He needed him. So he had to bring him. But he knew he was because they were in Kanu together forever under President Moi. So he knew the president, William Ruto. He knew him. So we should not cheat the people of this country. And, President Ruto is right when he brings up Uhuru and says, Uhuru did this. But you know what? It was a joint presidency.
Yeah.
Because President Uhuru owned half of the government when they went into government.
Yeah.
He was appointing his own ministers. President Uhuru could not appoint someone without
consulting.
And what did President Ruto do when Mr. Gachagua tried to do the same thing?
He impeached
He impeached him. Right? So you see, the great Abraham Lincoln said that everybody, anybody can overcome any adversity. But if you really want to know a man, you give him power. And even me, if I'm given power, you get to know the real me. My rhetoric is here now as a person. But the test is to get power.
Right.
And when you get power, you see the real human being coming
through. Okay. One would imagine that as you deal with the geopolitics of the day, because we all know that the current geopolitical dispensation is that everybody is wooing Africa. Everybody is wooing Africa. And they're not doing it because they suddenly find Africa and its people pleasurable. That's not the case. That there's something that they're after. Good leadership would demand that this can be seen for what it actually is, and that not go to the people who essentially vomited on your shoes over and over again. France is a typical example of that. But that notwithstanding, the Kenya-France summit is happening next week. That France and its businesses and its government will come back and they will have a conversation about Kenya, who interestingly has been chosen as the spokesperson. They've given it a fancy name. But the truth of the matter is that Kenya has been chosen as the spokesperson to take the good name of France across the continent. What would good leadership dictate or demand that happens when another country is coming into your space, essentially to tell you that forget about all the things we said about you before, but we realize that there's a place that we can benefit here and give us another chance. That's what's happening, but we don't seem to see it.
Well, there's this I think she's Ghanaian or she's Nigerian. She's called Ama Aitu. I think she's Ghanaian.
She is.
Ama, probably one of the great writers of West Africa, said that we've had a relationship for 500 years. We've had a relationship for 500 years with Europeans. And all they brought us was tuberculosis. They didn't have tuberculosis. We didn't have it here,
Yeah.
Yes. And then they took the gold and everything. So we have to get out of this rhetoric of they took it, they did this. What did they do? We have to get out of that. That's a victimhood. We don't want that. We want to be Africa. We want a renaissance in this continent. I think that this French incursion into an English-speaking country shows you the desperate nature of the failure of the French Republic in Africa. And the very idea that they could not go to Togo. Togo speaks French, right? To make them the spokesman. Well, how do they want us to make them a spokesman? We speak English. It just doesn't make sense. And you know what? They gave their soldiers, they're bringing their soldiers here too, freedom from prosecution, like the English ones, The English ones have been raping women in Samburu. Did you know that? Well, it's mass rape. Okay. It's true.
Hashi,
they were sued in court. I'm not saying something that is controversial.
I understand.
They were sued in London
taken to court
for rape when the British Army installation here in Nyanyuki.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not, it's in the public record. I'm not saying anything controversial. They actually were sued. And the British government itself has replied to it and said, we are going to give compensation to those women. It's not, I'm not saying, this is not me.
Yeah.
I'm just restating what's in the public domain. And you can Google that. I mean, people need to Google things to figure these things out. So if the British soldiers were doing that and our Kenya government was letting them go, the American soldiers come to Mombasa, they kill Jockey, they go back to the ship and go to America because they don't have, the laws don't apply to them. It's kind of sovereign clause. And the French have applied for the same thing because they know that we are not militant. We are going to just, be nice.
Come along.
Come along, And I'm a militant. I'm a partisan of militancy. I believe it has a space in the political economy of our country. And I think that just telling the truth has become such a big problem. And can you imagine of those who are much more radical, who want absolute change? What will they do to them? I'm a liberal who is looking for a constitutional, parliamentary, legal way of change. If you get that underground, people are going to go to the underground as well. So I think that we ought to end our sojourn with these folks. And in a way, there's this guy from Martinique. Is it from Martinique? He's called Aimé Césaire. He's I think he's Haitian. You should Google that before the show goes out. So Aimé Césaire wrote a book called My Native Something. When I was in college, I used to remember these things, but I'm getting older now. So he said, I remember a line from that book, which he says that we have a rendezvous we all have space in the table we all have space at the table here in this continent. And what we ought to do is to get the leadership that brings us all to the table so that we can have our chow mein, just the way the Chinese are having theirs.
Yes.
And we don't have to share our chow mein with other people because that's exploitation. So we want to end exploitation. And you can see that France has invaded Mali, for an example, just to give President Ruto a heads up. He has sent so-called Islamist terrorists. Do every time you don't agree with Europe, there's an insurgency that happens in your country. Or there's civil conflict. Or there's massive demonstrations. Like in Iran, it's funded by the Mossad, and then they caught them, said, here are the people who are funding the revolution. The revolution in Iran. So, France invaded Mali. They're near Bamako. They're demanding Goïta, the president of Mali, to toe the French line, or the Islamic terrorists are going to come into Bamako. Wake up and smell the coffee, my dear brothers and sisters. It's just, a high school student can analyze that and say, what's that? What is this? That's a sovereign country that changed and threw them out, and they're forcing themselves upon Mali. Now, if there's any other example of that mission civilisatrice, I don't know what else to say.
And this country, the same one that's purporting these things, has not suddenly changed because they're on a different coast of the continent. It's the same country that did these things in the west and part of the continent. It is the same country who is presenting itself in this Cinderella moment as someone else. But it is the same country,
the same guy,
with the same ideals. And with the same foreign policy in terms of what they want to do in the future. This is what I'm saying. That wouldn't leadership then be able to see this for what it is? Because maybe you could argue that during the times when colonialism was still a novel thing,
then you could
say, okay, well, we're not really sure what they were doing.
Yes.
Okay, fine.
But now
you've had 70 years of that experience. Then you come back and somebody's doing the same
thing, and you agree to it.
But you say, okay, how about you come in and here is our land for you to come and train your soldiers?
Oh, absolutely.
And then how about we have a summit where we now can speak for you to the rest of the continent?
Absolutely.
Why would that happen if you had leadership that understood where it was going, whether it was through its foreign policy or through its diplomatic relations on the globe? Why would that happen? And where does the buck stop?
I don't understand why we would deal with a president whose wife slaps him around on the runway of airports.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not saying anything. It's in the public record.
There's a picture. We get it. There's a video.
No, there's a video.
There's a video, yeah.
It's bizarre. As Africans, we have a consciousness. And our consciousness, we're only saying that this consciousness, that we go to the farm, we till our yams, and we're going to go cook it and call the villagers together and eat it with a goat there that we slaughtered. And there shouldn't be some white guy with the blue eyes walking with a gun and say, give me half. I mean, in a crude way, that's exactly what's happening. But this time, he's coming in with a nice suit. I'm going to be in on that day. I'm going to be at the Kenyatta National at the KICC. Doing live analysis, and I'm going to take them on so that they can see that the people of this country and their government are not together. We have got more interest in having meetings with Ethiopia, Somalia, Tanzania, Kenya, to have a Magna Carta, an African Magna Carta, so that we can break down the borders, we can build the roads to make trade. We should have 2 or 3 ambassadors in Europe. Why do we need an ambassador in all the countries in Europe? They don't want us to come to their countries.
So
they do not.
Representation there.
And when they land here with $500, they come for 10 days. They come for sex tourism, you know that.
Ahmed Hashim.
No, it's true. You have to tell the people the truth. If we hide the truth, you see these battered old men walking down in malls with young women. If you go to Malindi and you see these old Italian people with diapers, with young women, it's a rape of our national sovereignty. It's the truth. And the people of this country in Africa ought to see this for what it is. And if we're coming here and not to tell the truth to the people, we have no business coming here. I have no business coming here. I'll be sleeping and eating my mandazi there at the house. But as a militant and a partisan of the African experience, and because the good Lord has given me a bit of a talent with my mouth and my tongue, it is not mine, it is the Creator's. I'll be judged about it in the hereafter. And this is because from my faith. It is very important for us to bring out what is happening in our country, in our region. We have to fight conservatism. We are not going to go anywhere with the conservatism of Madam Suluhu, who says that we should lash out at these young people
Flawed is the word
who are who are in their early 20s, who have simply 3 demands. Jobs. These are the demands. They want to get married to their girlfriends. They want to be able to buy an apartment. They are not revolutionaries. There's this revolutionary of Africa today is not in the ilk of Maximilian Robespierre. It is in the ilk of a liberal democratic system in which people want jobs, want a future, they want children, they want good schools and good roads. These kids are not socialists. They are not. No African is a socialist. nor a communist, because these are European ideas. We have an African consciousness for prosperity. What we want is prosperity. We want people to go to good schools, to have good hospitals, to have nice radio stations like this, to go there and, go to the art cafe and have a cup of coffee, to live. That's what we want. And if it is going to take the road of militancy to get there, we will go to the road of militancy. If it takes the roads of conservatism to there, we will go there. Deng Xiaoping, one of my favorite human beings, he said, we don't care what color the cat is, as long as it catches the mouse.
Yes.
Do you care if you bring the cat at home if it has spiked ears or one toe?
No. Provided it does the work.
Does it catch them? We want the mouse of poverty caught and eaten.
Yeah.
That's what we want. We want to be able that my kids cannot go to the university in a foreign country because at the University of Nairobi you can't use the bathrooms. It's terrible. We have to stop. We have to stop and be upright, like Thomas Sankara. And he was not. He just wanted to bring agriculture back in Burkina Faso. And it is the French Republic that sent Blaise Compaoré and shot him dead.
Yes.
It's not me who's saying that. It's in the public domain. Everything I'm saying is in the public domain. There's nothing new Ahmed Hashi is bringing here to the table. All of you know what I'm saying. If I went over there, Du is probably much more militant than I am. Next time I'm going to take that microphone.
Okay.
And you sit here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And people will be shocked. This Igbo woman, she's going to say things that I'm not even saying.
Yeah. How should we look at the unity of the continent that you talk about? That I take an example of the 27 bloc in Europe, and them coming together to open their borders and do business together that has given them the power that they will today. You look at the continent today and you look at statements coming from, say, President William Ruto that has just alienated the entire Sahel region because they would say, you are in bed with our enemies. We don't want to talk to you. It's a disaster. And here we are talking about the independence of the continent, opening all these borders.
Brilliant question.
Not having all these passports.
Musa Hulu, that's a brilliant question. So just stop right there, I'll tell you. So Mr. Ruto, President Ruto, is our president, constitutionally elected. And we're going to constitutionally remove him out of office in 2027. So, the first thing he said, we don't want to go the way of Burkina Faso. Okay, Burkina Faso gave 500 tractors to women. It has built the biggest hospital in West Africa. It has built a new airport. It has brought agriculture back. It's the biggest exporter of onion today, tomatoes. Agriculture is revolutionized. Corruption is at the end. It's done. They formed the Sahel Union. The living standards has gone up. Children are going back to school. What has President Ruto done here? You do not criticize people when your home is doesn't smell of fufu, that you don't have made nothing. Someone else has made nice fufu there with chicken. And you're telling them, oh, this is not good.
But they're eating.
Yeah. So this kind of makes me upset.
Okay, but where are you going?
I'm starting to get upset. Because it's just so commonsensical,
Yeah.
And the French landed in Mali because they want Burkina.
Yeah.
You know that, right?
Yeah.
The person they want is the example of Captain Traoré. That's what they want to overthrow. And what they want is our stiff upper-lipped Thai British culture here, where we go there and say, hello, comment allez-vous, ça va bien, ça va toi. That's what they want, this played kind of. No, they're not going to get it from Ahmed Hashi, because I come from a fierce race of Republicans. We refused to be colonized by these fellows. The first people to be bombed in Africa were my people. Yes, they went and bought guns in Europe and they fought them for 25 years. And they did not come after that. The Ethiopians did the same thing. The land and freedom people did the same thing. In West Africa, they destroyed civilization. They fought, the Ghanaians fought. The Nigerians fought like nobody's business. They lost millions. It's not that we do not fight. They had the Maxim gun. So in Sandalwana in South Africa, they fought and got defeated. So I think that the fight is still on, because we know what is happening in the Middle East. We know what's happening in Gaza. The United States and Israel just went and bombed a country and told them we're going to close the Straits of Hormuz. What is going on in the world is empire.
Right.
It's as simple as that. And you don't have to be a radical left-wing person to say it. You know, you should not be tarred with the feathers of their own ideology. What is not my ideology? My ideology, African consciousness of Steve Biko. That's my ideology. That this is our place. You come with respect. We treat you with respect. We do our thing. You don't try and exploit it. We fight if you try to exploit it. That conference is an exploitation of our personalities as Africans. And we ought to oppose it.
And within that struggle, is there the necessity for what we're hearing now when we talk about the fairness or the structure of the global economy, for example? If we're saying that you come to my place and that you must respect me and that state sovereignty then must be respected, can we, in the same breath, then demand on financial institutions, for example, for fairness in their lending and fairness in their interest rates and things like that, which has been on the forefront of many a tongue? President William Ruto is one of them. To an extent, Cyril Ramaphosa has said you must do this, and then he's kind of been excommunicated because then they're part of the BRICS and all of this. But do you then hold a right to say, if we're going to be part of this wonderful global village, which was invited by Globalization 2.0 in the year 2000, can you then now say, well, we're all at the table, but you have to be fair to me if I'm going to borrow from you?
Brilliant question, too. I mean, that's why I love coming to this show. You see, why should we borrow money from them? How do they make money?
From the interest that they charge on offer.
Yeah, but as a sense, they made a bank, they made currencies, they made paper, they created an economy based on capital, right?
Off of the resources that a lot of them got from here.
Yeah. So why can't we create a bank, a continental bank? We have one, AfriExim
Bank.
Which is a brilliant idea, very good. Why is it that we cannot create our own currency? Why do I need to take a Kenyan shilling and go to Bole Airport in Ethiopia and get dollars? Or why?
And then change it to beer.
Why? Why don't we have an East African Kwanzaa? Why do I need to go to Uganda and change Kenya with the face of Jomo Kenyatta, face of Idi Amin or Yoweri Museveni? Why? Because it's neo-colonialism. These people in charge of these states are in cahoots with those people. And if that doesn't happen, you get overthrown. The very idea of human rights, constitutional government, and the rule of law and democratic government are tools, ideological tools for our exploitation. Because they tell you, this is not democratic. What's democratic about them with our relationship? There's nothing democratic about it. So we fought for democracy, electoral democracy in the continent, because the dictators were stepping on our necks. And when I was fighting that, we had no other option to say we had to use the constitution to get rid of these people. They had to go to the public to get their mandate. And you know what? They beat the progressive. Like people like Ruto went to the public. And they used the language of the progressive bottom up. The poor, he's from a very poor background, You saw him singing for President Moi in Nandi when he was very young. He's very poor. Today he's one of the richest people in Africa. He did not invent a cup to sell it at the supermarket. It's true.
It's true.
Why are you so shocked?
I'm not shocked.
Yeah, don't be shocked. Listen, I have been to all these jails, don't worry. I'll spend more time there for you. So, what is it about our poor people from poor backgrounds, huh? When they come into power, they become more conservative than the rich.
The rich, yeah.
So there is something psychological about it. So I think that we ought to, look, if you want a dictatorship, at least give the people, the hospitals, the schools, the roads, and don't kill people. Be a benign one. There's a discourse about that. I don't agree with it. I think that our own forms of democratic norms, African consciousness, that brings about institutions that we We can use chiefs from Igbo land. What is wrong with having chiefs and their people discuss what is happening in their region in southern Nigeria? Nothing.
Oh, hang on. So essentially what we're saying is that what was brought to us in terms of governance was then presented as though it was the better option.
And it's not.
That whatever you had was not working.
Was not working.
Because I had to hoodwink you into imagining
Yes.
that how you were educating your children,
Yes.
how you were farming the land,
Yes.
how you were trading. Remember, Africa had one of the most sophisticated methods of trade that the world has ever
They were
seen.
exporting to Europe.
And this was happening, that there were systems of government which were operating. People knew how to rule. There was fairness. There was justice. It was happening, whether you want to admit it or not. So what was presented was a better way. And for years after colonialism, in many, many, many countries, then you imagine that this new way of government was trying to be inculcated by leaders, but it was always a mismatch. And so there were people who were always knocking heads. So are you saying that this democracy that every one of us uses to now describe our country's Democratic Republic of the Democratic People, whatever, actually is not working?
I think that if the cat is not eating the mouse, the poverty mouse, it's not working. Our job is to increase the money in people's pockets, for them to have shops, for them to build dukas, to go to good schools and the things that I've talked about. But also, I think that it would be absurd for us to not notice that we live in the 21st century and that there are benchmarks of systems of government, right, that have been tried and tested. I think that the African system of government has not been tried and tested. And it cannot be exclusive because, there's no Garden of Eden back in Africa.
Well, maybe they won't allow it, Hashi, because they know it will work. But once it works, then a lot of the folks who are still trying to come back and court the African girl then will be locked out.
Aimé Césaire said, that book is called Return to My Native Land. He was criticized by a guy called Frantz Fanon, who said, there's no Garden of Eden in Africa. We were butchering each other just as much as other people were butchering each other. So there's a danger of returning to afro-centrism. And then we find out that the human condition, because we're all humans, that the human condition is this, that we had Shaka Zulu, who came all the way to Kambani here. We had all these African despots. Mama Suluhu actually used the African culture, the African history to say that the Gen Zs are not good because they're exercising their democratic right. So we have to be careful about Afrocentrism. But we have to be of an African consciousness. If Afrocentrism is being used to say the Gen Zs cannot go and exercise their right to democratic protest, then there's a danger. So we have to be smart. We have to use the allegory of the cat and the mouse. But if the cat doesn't find the mouse in the house, he finishes him, and the guy is sitting reading his newspaper, the cat will eat the owner of the house. We have to get a balance of the right for Ahmed Hashi to come and express himself and for the government to do its job.
So should we be concerned, should we be concerned with the business of diplomacy and making sure that your right has reign with certain countries in the world? Because we've called them some of what would look as though they were off color. We've called them diplomatic gaffes when they have to do with the folks who are continuing to entrench colonialism, if you ask me. Should we be concerned in the business of maintaining those friendships?
I'm more interested in having a grand conference with East Africa than France. For an example, you have a conference, China, Africa, France, Africa. We even had Thailand, Africa. Did you know that? Tomorrow we're going to have Taiwan in Africa. Then they parade 50 presidents, most of them who are over 80, to a conference. So I think that this idea in our political culture, in our state culture, in our state elites, that treats white skin as property. Do you know that's the problem? Ukiona mzungu anakuwa mgonjwa. So you know that. Huko kwetu kwa waria, we give them the plate, we throw it away. We have zero respect for these people because we know that they come to exploit you. They don't come in good faith. They don't. One of the great presidents of Nigeria, because of doing from Nigeria. Murtala Mohammed, Allah yarhamah. He used to walk around Nigeria in the road. They found one of his deputies to shoot him. So what we need is not one Traore. We need democratic Traores. We need Traore to be elected to convince us that he's going to do the same thing. The other day he said, I don't agree with him, even though I admire him. He said, to hell with democracy.
It's never worked for the last, I don't know how.
I don't agree with the guy. I don't agree with him. He's my favorite African president. And I understand why he's saying that. Because the French intelligence is in the city. And if there's no military government, the French will overthrow him and shoot him.
Yes.
So that is why he's telling you this is not democracy. Here in Kenya, we never had a democracy. The other day, when we brought this new constitution, the new Katiba, this is our first step into finding openness and pluralism. And I think that this French escapade into our country is a disaster. And if I was at the Foreign Office, I would say no.
Now, Hashi, with all these diplomatic gaps that Kenya finds itself in, for a very long time, Kenya has been seen as a haven for diplomacy. Any problem that would happen in the region, Kenya would be the place to run to. But today, with all this that is happening, where is Kenya? Are we a laughingstock? Is everyone alienating Kenya based off position that has been given and statements given by the president and the Foreign Affairs Ministry?
How many Kenyans have you seen in White Sands recently? Huh? Go to the beach. There's 90 Europeans and 10 people who are permanent secretaries and who own the cookie factory in town. The ordinary guy lives in a hut just down the road with no healthcare, no school, hardly any clothing, and their governor has a massive mansion there with a piano in it. These are the pitfalls of national consciousness. Sooner or later, there's going to be a conservative revolution in this country called Kenya. As we approach 2027, everybody in their household in Kenya is holding their heart like this. They're afraid of a civil war in this country. Ni ukweli. Ni ukweli. You have seen what Gachagua has said. The governor of Wajir is very right. He said, the Luos in the ODM are spoiling the party. He's right.
Why?
Because the whole country is behind them, and it's now the guy whom I was a very close aide to, the former prime minister, a good friend, may he rest in peace. The family has taken over the party, and there is a squabble between the family over the future of the party. ODM is not a Luo party. It's not a Nyanza party. It's elected in Lokchogyo and in Wacher, near the border of Ethiopia. Some of his MCAs are from the border of Ethiopia. We've built a national consciousness of a party. I was one of the founders. I gave the keynote address, the philosophical ideas about where we need to go. The leader of that party is Professor Peter Anyang'o. He is the commander-in-chief of the operations of that party and the brain. And I was his mutia mukono. I helped him a lot. And the titular leader was Raila Odinga. The two of them happened to be Luos. But there was nothing Luo about them. Nothing. There was two Luos, one Somali and a Kisii, who founded this party. Later on, and William Ruto. So very sorry to say. You have to give credit where he was there. And without him, that party would have gone nowhere. It's a fact, we have to give credit where it's due. And then we went and campaigned in this country like nobody's business. Half of the people of central Kenya gave us their vote. So I think that it is very important for us to change our trajectory. And on matters of diplomacy should be in the region. After that, it should be in the continent, and we should concentrate on our resources. We should concentrate on how we can build links so that when we go to these conferences, I'll give you an example. The cotton, we produce cotton.
Yes.
We killed the cotton industry in Nyanza. Now, when you go to the trade rounds, the Americans and the Europeans subsidize their cotton farmers tremendously.
Yes.
So when we go to the meeting, they take the Uganda out, they give them another deal, they take Nigeria out and give them another deal, they take Kenya out, and then the African resistance collapses. Our diplomacy should be about making sure that when the cotton comes, we send one representative, we agree at the African Union, and we send this passport. For all of us, you send it there. And we say, this is our position, and there is no delegation from Uganda and Gambia. I am the representative
for everybody.
And we have gone into the House and have agreed that this is our common. There's no call from Trump to tell you, Toka. That's the diplomacy we want. We do not want French diplomacy. What is French diplomacy doing in Kenya? To do what? Okay, we have the Alliance Française. It's enough.
Oh, God. And that's probably where we should end it this morning. Because, yes, there will be things that will be said. And it's opening our eyes and enlightening. Ahmed Hashi, thank you for being here this morning. Because Alliance Française. It is enough.
Let me tell you, I think that, as I always, I don't need to overdo it.
No.
But I think that you guys, to allow my voice to come here, is touching. Because many Africans feel the way I feel. And if I can express it for them, because this is not natural ideas, I got these ideas from other African leaders and my own experience, right?
True.
So we have to express some of the sentiments of the African people and stop this nonsense of bowing to these Europeans and these people. We are the children of Kemet.
Absolutely.
So we have to end this nonsense, and if the media is going to help us do it, I say hallelujah to that.
How about that? Ahmed Hashi saying hallelujah at 8 o'clock. Good morning.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM. This